Receiving simulator transmission. Uploading transmitted feed. Initializing playback sequence. Alright Seipher, we're ready.
Hey everyone, Seipher here, and welcome to my latest Let's Play, Seipher Plays Yugioh Reshef of Destruction, a quote-unquote pseudo-sequel to Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards, and a divisive entry in the collection of Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games. I'll get into exactly why that is a bit later. You don't need to have played or watched the Sacred Cards to enjoy Reshef, but if you're interested, you should see an iCard in the top right corner right about now. That will link to the playlist of my Sacred Cards playthrough, in case you want to check that out. For those of you that are familiar with this game and are looking forward to seeing me struggle through this game's challenges, or dread them yourself if you want to play along, guess again, as I am playing the Tolerable Reshef of Destruction patch made by Ephraim225. A link to this patch will be in the description of these videos if you want to check it out for yourself. I will be going over the differences this patch makes along the way as we go along, but as you can probably tell from the title of the patch, it makes Reshef of Destruction a much more tolerable Yu-Gi-Oh! Game to play. Anyway, let's get to putting in our character name. So we should be rather quick about this. And thankfully I have just enough characters to do so. Now I put this monster card in here like so, and voila, I'm good to go. Seipher, how's adjusting your deck coming along? Pretty lousy, honestly. Seipher, I guess you still have lots of work to do. But you can learn from the expert, the one and only Joey Wheeler, on making great decks. If you say so. In any case, that opening cutscene was pretty intense, and certainly more than we got with the Sacred Cards. Alright guys, I'm gonna totally rock with this deck today. Man, I can't wait for the Duel Express train to come. It's been too long since I've dueled in a tournament. Seipher and Yugi and I are gonna own this tourney. By the way... Huh? What's wrong? Oh yeah, where the heck's Yugi? Oh man, this stinks. Look at the time already. He's late. Come on, Yugi. How can you even think about being late on a day like this? If he doesn't get here soon, we'll miss the Duel Express. And he was the one who promised that the three of us were gonna take the train together. Man, that Yugi. Arg! Okay, calm down, Brooklyn. If he doesn't even get here, he can't give me all his rare cards, and I still won't forgive him. Okay, whatever. That's way outside of what your friendship is like. Seipher, everything's horrible. My other self, the Millennium puzzle. The puzzle is gone, along with the spirit inside. Yeah, that kinda tracks. Of course, I don't know how anyone took it from you. When I woke up this morning, it was gone. What am I supposed to do? Hey, we can't waste time standing here and talking. Seipher, what do you think we should do? Let's go look for it. Okay. Then that's what we're gonna do. You got it, Yugi? I won't stop until I find my dearest friend. I promise. I'm counting on you, Seipher. Seipher, what are you still doing here? Weren't the three of you taking the Duel Express? What? The Millennium Puzzle is gone? But how? How did that happen? A good question. Forgive me, but I overheard your conversation. So it seems that the Millennium Puzzle has also disappeared. What I have feared the most is coming to fruition. Please, I need your help. I see you're puzzled, but that is only to be expected. Please bear with me and listen to my words carefully. I have come to ask you duelists for your help. You must save the world from Reshef, the Dark Being. I understand this is sudden and confusing. However, the world is in grave peril. Only strong duelists, such as yourselves, can save us all from ruin before it's too late. All the Millennium items have disappeared. This is most likely due to Reshef's resurrection. An unknown entity must have commenced a fusion ritual on the Egyptian gods, which re-released Reshef the Dark Being into the world. The ritual stole the mighty power of the Egyptian god cards, and the cards, now drained of its mystical energies, transformed into stone. We must send the Dark Being to its eternal rest before the world is destroyed. But in order to accomplish this feat, the Egyptian god cards are absolutely essential. However, since the Egyptian god cards have been turned to stone, they no longer have power. Only the Millennium items can restore them to their former glory. The items have been scattered all over the world. They must be regained to resurrect the Egyptian god cards. And with help from the Egyptian gods, we may have a chance of sealing away the Dark Being. I am counting on you to accomplish this task. Please, my powerful duelists. If left unchecked, the Dark Being's strength will keep growing. The world will be shrouded in perpetual darkness. Please, help save the world. What should we do, Seipher? Well, that was certainly a lot to take in, but I think our answer is obvious. Defeat the Dark Being. I knew you'd say that. Besides, I have to find my Millennium Puzzle. I'll go with you, Seipher. Since you said I'm a powerful duelist, how can I refuse? I'm coming along too, Seipher. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. First, the Millennium items must be recovered. As a descendant of a clan of gravekeepers, I can sense the faint pulses of the Millennium items. You must first make your way to the Egypt exhibition. If my feelings are correct, the first of the Millennium items should be there. I know what I ask is a great imposition, but I have no one to turn to except for you. Leave it to us. Your words have given me hope for the first time in a long time. I leave the fate of the world in your hands. And just like that, we now finally have control about 8 minutes into this. So yeah, pretty much front-loading on the exposition, but what can you expect? As those of you familiar with the Sacred Guards can guess, this game follows its story with some changes. Obviously, we have seen the Millennium items before. We have met Ishizu, but it's kind of iffy on if this is treating it like we met her before or not. In any case, now that we're past establishing the plot through cutscenes, we're now free to move about the town of Domino and progress the story by catching a bus to Domino Station, or I think it's actually... no. Okay, so I was a bit wrong. We can actually go over here, and we will go through this port right here where we traveled around Domino City in the Battle City tournament back in Sacred Cards to go to our next destination. However, I don't want to rush off and do that, as Domino Square and its surroundings have some things for us to see and do that will not be available later. I would also like to quickly go over our deck and show just how much of an underdog protagonist we are to start out in this game compared to the Sacred Cards. So let's quickly just go down to our deck. As we can see from quickly perusing our deck, we have some truly terrible cards making up our starting deck, and if we want to see this quest against the Dark Being through, we will have to improve it. Like the Sacred Cards, Reshef functions on limitation of duelist level, deck capacity, and card cost for you to build a 40-card deck to duel with. Each card in the game has a cost, with stronger cards having higher costs and weaker cards having lower costs. There are too many cards to possibly go over, but I will make note of good ones as we go along this journey, and any that I will be adding through the password system. It should be noted that this patch does not change around the costs of cards. Well, it does change around the cost of cards somewhat, to make them more usable than vanilla. The patch also changed certain attributes of cards and flat out replaced others. We will be going into those changes as they become relevant. The number at the top of the screen is our deck capacity. With our 40-card deck, it must be less than or equal to that number, so we've got 1600 right now as our deck capacity, so we have to have a deck capacity at or below 1600 to be able to duel. Not every duelist can use every card, though, as their cost must be less than or equal to your duelist level, at least in the mainline games. To start out, we have a duelist level of 72, so we can't use any. If we were playing the classic version of Reshef, we wouldn't be able to use any cards that are above 72 for their deck cost. You can increase your duelist level and your deck capacity by dueling and winning against the opponents that you will be facing in this game. In this patch version of the game, however, as I said, duelist level is no longer a factor. You can use any card just so long as you have it and you don't exceed your deck capacity. So it's a bit easier in that respect, which is honestly helpful because the base game had quite a bit wrong with it to that factor, but I'll be getting into that in a bit. If we press select, we will cycle through sorting criteria, number, name, attack, defense, cost, etc. By pressing start in this mode, we will be able to choose which sorting criteria we go with, so we can click stars here. If we press L, at least I think that was it. We can sort. We can cycle through card details, like we can go from attack and defense to seeing the attribute and summon of the attribute and type of monster, the cost, and the name. So, all in all, pretty good. If we press R, we will scroll through a group of 10 cards while in the deck, 32 while in the trunk. Okay, so with that said, this screen here, the status, which I showed briefly earlier, is pretty much the same as it was in the Sacred Cards. Shows your name, duelist level, deck capacity, and money, denoted as Domino. Kind of odd to have the same currency named after your town, but whatever. The one glaring change is that instead of how many locator cards you have, it lists your life points. This is because in the vanilla version of Reshef, life points carry over between duels rather than restoring to 8,000 every time. This is one of the major sticking points in the difficulty of the vanilla version of Reshef of Destruction, and as the game likes to throw a lot of dueling gauntlets at you, so basically you have to be able to handle multiple opponents at the same time without being able to start fresh, while your opponents will start fresh, or in some cases have even greater amounts of life points than 8,000. It is quite a bit to deal with. Thankfully, this is not an issue in the patch, as restoring life points between duels has been restored. As for how you restore life points in the vanilla, I will get back to you all on that in just a bit. For now, what do you say we get into our first duel by challenging one of these random no-names using the R button? And I think it'll be this guy. Even I'm willing to take on a duel. Okay, so we are immediately thrown into the trunk to decide if we want to ante any of our cards to win a card off of our opponent, as was the case in the Sacred Cards. We want to choose not to ante. We can choose not to ante a card, but there isn't much fun in that, and we are looking to improve our deck, so we will have to take the risk. Each opponent has a pool of ante cards that they can offer, and we and they will be chosen at random. Generally, the higher or the cost of the card you ante, the greater the card that you get for victory will be. The game will warn you, though, if you try and ante a low-level ante card, generally weak cards that wouldn't be painful to lose, such as... well, let's just... Where are my... I don't know what happened, so I'll just have to scroll on up. I'll just cut this out. Be right back. Okay, so now that I'm back here, we can choose to ante a card. If we try and use Skull Servant as an ante, it is a low-level ante, so it'll warn us. So let's try going with this guy as our ante. We don't really need to worry so much about what we ante in the early game because we don't really have the best cards to win or lose. Okay, so we got our starting hand. Like the Sacred cards, this game functions on a very simplified version of the TCG/OCG rules. Each player begins with 8,000 life points and 5 cards in their hand. You can summon one monster and set as many spells and traps as you like per turn. Monsters are summoned in face-down attack position and will be flipped over when they attack. So let's just quickly set that Ikaboon trap, activate this Sparks card that we have. Pretty weak, but hey, we need all the help we can get in this early game. And then just attack with our Cyber Commander. You will not draw a card if you already have 5 cards in your hand. If you draw a card and have no... if you attempt to draw a card and have no cards remaining in your deck, you will lose. Press the B button and you can open a secondary menu, which you can discard cards from your field or hand, or check out the details of a card. And pressing the R button will show your opponent's field. Okay, so... new to Reshef is the introduction of a cursor that will go across the board each time, so let me just see if that... oh, right. If you're playing vanilla Reshef, a cursor will go across the board to check if there are any permanent effects to be that are on the field or in your graveyard. For example, Dark Magician Girl's effect to gain attack if Dark Magician is in the grave will be shown. However, an effect like that isn't necessarily a good thing, as the graveyard is pretty much limited to the last card in your the last card added to your graveyard. So, at least I thought. Maybe I'm misremembering, or maybe that's just the Sacred cards. Thankfully, that cursor is disabled in the Tolerable Reshef of Destruction patch because it happens after every single action. Summon a monster, the effect cursor goes off, and any messages that can be read from it will be read, so you have to be at least a little bit careful about it. It makes the duels take a very long time, so I'm thankful to not have to deal with it. As with the Sacred cards, battles between monsters aren't simply decided by which monster has the highest stats. Each card has its own attribute or summon. As you can see, I've got a Fiend, another Fiend, and a Forest. They follow 2 separate cycles through 10 elements. The first cycle is a bit abstract, but it follows as such. Shadow beats Light, Light beats Fiend, Fiend beats Dream, and Dream beats Shadow. The second cycle is a bit more straightforward. Pyro beats Forest, Forest beats Wind, Wind beats Earth, Earth beats Thunder, Thunder beats Aqua, Aqua beats Pyro. There is also an 11th attribute, but that is a topic for a later date. Anyway, let's get on with the duel. Okay, that was to be expected. Let's quickly take care of that guy. Don't want to attack with our fire monster, because if we do, we'd lose that for trying to destroy an Aqua monster with it. So yeah, we don't have the best cards right now. That Beast of Talwar down there, I think, is our best card by far. Yeah, but we don't want to do that. Mystic Lamp here has simple effect, enabling him to direct attack, so we get a little bit more damage going than we would otherwise. And there we go. So, oh, and now we've lost our best monster, at least our best summonable monster. So let's actually tribute Mystic Lamp to summon our Leo Gun. And hopefully this will only take one more turn. And I should have... That's another reason you have to be careful with the attribute system in this game. Easily able to ruin a monster you just summoned because you couldn't see your opponent's attribute. For defeating the opponent, we get an increase to our deck capacity and some Domino. 10 in this case and 100. Every 3 deck capacity raises your duelist level by 1, just as it did in Sacred Cards. In the base/vanilla Reshef opponent, in the base/vanilla version of Reshef of Destruction, though, opponents only gave 3 deck capacity for every single duel, and all opponents, and 1 deck capacity for any opponent that you could duel repeatedly. This made it an exceptional challenge and grind to be able to get good in this game, as you start with a terrible deck, you have a low duelist level, low deck capacity, and the only opponents that can give you an increase would be to duel repeatable opponents who only give you 1 point at a time, so it's very slow. This is a lot of the reason why I'm choosing to go with this version of the game. Well, that was fun, if you say so. Okay, so thankfully we're playing the Tolerable Reshef of Destruction patch, so we have restored deck capacity and duelist level increases of Sacred Cards to make the game a bit less of a grind. Now, with that completed, though, you're probably wondering what to do about your life points if you're playing vanilla and took damage. Well, if we go over this way, and I suppose I should have said, you can hold the B button to run faster in this game, but we will want to come to our save point from the last game, as it restores life points in this game if you're playing the vanilla Reshef. It still has this message, though, in the Tolerable patch, but it is also our means of saving. I will not be saving just yet, but I recommend that you come back and save as often as possible, as it is the only one. So basically just do it whenever you're in town. Now, if we go back out over here to Ishizu, we can talk to her, and she acts as our in-game guide and journal, but for now, let's ignore her. Well, I would say that, but... okay. I probably shouldn't have talked to her. I probably should have just said as much and been on our way. However, let's go down this way, because if we recall from our last adventure, we can get here to the Muto Game Shop, which has quite a bit to it. Grandpa, I'm home. Did any new rare cards come in? Okay, so, now that we're here in the game shop, Yugi and Joey are no longer following us. If we leave, they will start following us again, but now they are interactable, whereas they weren't when we were outside. We can talk to these two. I wish Yugi's grandpa would give us a discount on cards. We should buy some cards and strengthen our decks. And we can even challenge them if we want to, but I would not recommend doing so just yet. You'll want to get a little bit stronger before challenging them. We can also talk to Solomon behind the counter here. Hello, good to see you. I have some excellent cards. We can buy and sell cards from here, taking place of the card shop from the original Sacred Cards. The shop's stock naturally starts out pretty bare bones, pretty weak. Yeah, like, see, this is all that he has available for us right now, and the best thing we have would be this giant scorpion. As we win more and more duels, a number of randomly selected cards will become available for purchase. That said, in the base version of the game, even the weakest cards cost quite a bit of Domino, and Additionally, Vanilla Reshef gives cards a resale price of 5% of its shop value and prevents you from selling your last copy. So, getting cards off of your opponents, off of repeatable opponents, and selling them is the only way to really make money in this game, and in the base version, it is terribly slow. Again, it is another instance of artificial difficulty that I do not find fun, and having gone through it once, did not want to do again, so the Reshef of Destruction Tolerable patch is here to save us, as these negatives have been changed through the quality of life changes of the patch, with cards being able to be sold even if it is your last copy, and at 50% of the card's shop value. The last thing I want to talk about in here is this orange machine right here in the corner. This is the password machine, and for the cost of 1,000 Domino and the right code, you can access any card in the game. This does, however, come with a big asterisk, as in that you do not automatically get the card from the password. Instead, it will be added to Solomon's selection of cards for you to buy in the shop. So it is a bit weaker, but hey, that is how it sort of functioned in the Sacred Cards, so you should be used to it if you've played that game. Not great, but hey, at least we have access to cards, and thanks to the changes to the quality of life of the tolerable patch, we will be able to make use of it quite well. Now, we want to just quickly come outside here, because we can also see that Duke, Devlin, and Tristan Taylor are here, and I want to challenge them. You can challenge them to duels. Duke is a bit of a challenge for the starting deck to overcome, so I'd advise against challenging him right away, but we can still kick Tristan's butt. You want to duel with me? Sure thing, let's duel. And let's bet another Tomasaurus. Okay, we got a pretty good starting hand, I think. Let's start by having Wicked Mirror attack. Tristan is the weakest duelist in the entire game, not unexpected since he isn't a duelist in the original series. He has a variety of attributes and summons, but that's really all that can be said that is good about his deck. None of his monsters have attack over 500, and he has no traps or spell cards to speak of. To put it mildly, you'll have to go out of your way to lose Tristan by letting him win. While this is a downside in the challenge department, this does make Tristan the perfect opponent to test out deck changes, as his inability to put up a fight will enable you to try out new cards and strategies with ease. Tristan also serves as an easy means to increase your deck capacity if you're willing to put up with grinding, especially in the tolerable Reshef of Destruction patch, where he is much weaker than ever before. Well, actually, where it's much easier to grind than ever before, not that he's much weaker. That said, his anti-cards aren't all that great, but they can at least serve as selling fodder, at least for the moment. Albeit, this is more of a boon in the patch version, as I've said. So, let's just quickly try and take this guy out. Okay, that was to be expected, I guess. Let's do this. And one more turn ought to do it, I think. I mean, with that, definitely. Tribute, summon our strongest monster. And we'll finally finish him off. Opponent is out of LP, dual victory. Deck capacity increased by 5, 100 Domino obtained. White Dolphin was obtained. Pretty weak card, but oh well. If you're ever in the mood for competition, you know where to find me. You're not much of a competition, Tristan, but thank you nonetheless. And admittedly, I don't think this is a good idea, since I recommend that you don't do so right yet, but I'm going to do it anyway. Challenged Duke. I don't really consider myself a duelist, but I can duel better than that loser Tristan. Yes, you can. So I'm just going to bet another Tomasaurus because we already have a copy in our deck. Duke is a bit tougher than Tristan at this point. Though, like Tristan, he has a number of different attributes in his deck. We're going to start off by going a bit defensively, since we don't really have all that much in... Oh, boy. Yeah, that was to be expected. His non-tribute monsters typically have around 700 attack or less, but you don't have to worry so much. He does, however, have one monster in his deck to be wary of, the Hourglass of Life. It is a 700 attack, 600 defense point monster that has a special ability. It can trade life points to power up every monster on the field by 500. That is why I didn't use my Beck into Darkness, which would have taken one monster off his field. I want to save it in case he summons that, so that I can just easily get over it. Let's attack again. Okay, good thing I attacked with Cyber Commander and not Thunder Kid. Alright, Final Destiny is a powerful but risky card. If activated, it will destroy every monster or spell and trap on the field and in the hand, so it's basically a board wipe. There are exceptions to this, but we will get into that a bit later. For now, let's just keep on plugging away at him. Thankfully, I think he's a little easier to deal with in the Tolerable patch, just because I don't think it affects AI, but I don't think that he's all that smart. Let's tribute our Starfish and go for another attack. This time we'll use Doma to get some real damage in. Hopefully he doesn't summon anything that we can't deal with. Because of the attribute system, you'll want to keep a varied amount of attributes on your team at all times, just to make things a bit easier. Let's destroy that. Okay, good. I am a little wary because of the attribute system. You can never know what you'll end up destroying, but hopefully it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Cyber Commander is easily cutting through this guy, as is Doma, and let's get one more lick in with Curtain of the Dark Ones. Okay, Hourglass of Life. This is the monster I warned about. He just gave up 1,000 life points, as shown by hit. Yeah, he only has 50 life points left. Thankfully, we kept this back into the darkness, and we can easily take him out. Duel Victory. Your deck capacity increased by 5. 100 Domino obtained. Morphing Jar was obtained. So yeah, Duke is one of the better opponents to face right now in the early game, as he will give monsters with 700 attack, and that will be pretty powerful, at least for the start of this. We will want to challenge him, because we can get a bunch of different attributes and get a bunch of monsters that are at least stronger than what we got, or at least on par in some cases. He also... I didn't really go over it, but he also makes use of spells including the Inexperienced Spy to look at your hand, and Restructure Revolution to deal 200 life points of damage per card in your hand, and Heavy Storm to wipe the fields. You'll need to make good use of the attribute system to win, obviously, but he can't be too much trouble, although I feel like it's very up to luck at the start of the game, when you don't have the best monsters. That said, defeating him got us that Morphing Jar, so I will definitely want to be dueling him a few more times off screen, just to get our deck up to snuff. Duel Monsters is a pretty deep game, isn't it? That it is. But with that, we have thoroughly gone over everything we could possibly need to know about the start of the game. Before we meet up again, I'm going to clear out Domino Square of the no-name opponents, and maybe challenge Tristan and Duke a few times to improve the deck, because trust me, we are going to need it. Next time, we'll take on we'll take on Joey, Yugi, and finish up our business in Domino Square before finally making some story progress. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, stay gold.
Playback sequence terminated. Transmission disconnected.